The Mint Door Podcast with Dr. Karen Tyndall and Dr. Laura Schwint.
Feeling like a high achiever stuck in a rut? The Mint Door podcast is your escape hatch. But before we dive into today's inspiring guests, let's talk about adding some serious flavor to your week.
Yeah, introducing the Mint Julep, our weekly newsletter that's the perfect antidote to burnout. It's more than just words on a screen. It's a virtual happy hour with a supportive community of high achievers, brimming with inspiration, positivity, and a dash of fun.
Think of it as your chance to unwind, recharge, and rediscover the joy in the everyday hustle. Sign up for the Mint Julep with the link in the show notes, and let's clink glasses or coffee mugs to a more inspired and joyful life, 1 week at a time.
Yeah, and if you need a visual pick-me-up, don't worry, we've got you covered. Find all our podcasts and bite-sized coaching tips on YouTube at The Mint Door. Subscribe for happiness on the go.
So now let's meet Benjamin Lund, the Energizer bunny of dental journalism. Now, Ben isn't just a senior writer and PR specialist at Productive Dentist Academy. He's on a mission to infuse the dental world with electrifying content.
Yeah, for 20 years, Benjamin wielded his editing powers as the mastermind behind Dentaltown magazine. Now he's bringing his expertise in crafting dynamic content and building relationships with key dental influencers in Productive Dentist Academy.
But Benjamin's life isn't all about writing. When he's not whipping up wordsmith magic, you might find him hiking the Arizona desert trails. This energizing bunny of a guy clearly needs an outlet for all that creative energy. He devours books like they're going out of style, and his thirst for knowledge is insatiable.
Yeah, and don't forget family. He loves spending time with his lovely wife, Jill, 4 kids, and 3 grandsons. Because family time and staying healthy are essential for keeping that creative spark alive. So get ready for a jolt of inspiration. Benjamin Lund is here to shake things up in the dental content world. Well, Mint Door listeners, podcasters, we are so happy to be together today.
Yeah, in the same room.
In the same room, so that's new. But what's really exciting is that we have Benjamin Lund with us today. And you heard from his introduction that this is going to be a fantastic conversation about a lot of different topics. So Benjamin, thanks so much for being with us and sharing some of your time with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a privilege to get to talk to you. This is great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yay. All right. Well, there's some really fun topics that we want to dig into, but the first one that we'd love to just know is a little bit about your journey. You were Dentaltown editor and you moved to content master at Productive Dentist Academy. And we'd love to know what sparked this change and how you're doing content differently now.
Sure. So a little bit about my history. I graduated from Marquette University back in the Stone Ages, back in the infancy of the internet. And that was back when 20 years ago, people were saying print is dead as soon as the internet kind of came around, and it's still around still. But I kicked around from a lot of different publications. I worked with some newspapers in the Wisconsin area. I worked for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, the East Troy News, did some freelancing there. And then I was picked up by Building Operating Management magazine, and then ended up working for about 4 years for a magazine called The Director. And that was the official magazine for the National Funeral Directors Association. And that was a wonderful experience, and I really kind of cut my teeth in magazine journalism. And right after that, I ended up moving into the editor position at Dentaltown, and I never really considered Dentaltown or dentistry to be this wonderful little home that I've been in for 20 years. But I spent several years as the editor at Dentaltown, and then I moved into sales and business development for a little bit, and then I moved over and I started working for Productive Dentist Academy, and I've been here at PDA for 2 years, and I'm having the time of my life. It's wonderful, and to stay in dentistry, to be able to stay in dentistry and do the kind of writing that I'm doing. And not just like writing it, but it's, content development and, developing opportunities for dentists who want to do more than just chairside dentistry. I don't mean to say doing just chairside dentistry as, oh, you're just a dentist, you're just doing chairside. It's quite a noble profession, and every dentist that I meet is incredible and amazing in their own way. And but what I do is for dentists who want to share their passion. You don't have to be an expert in something. Like, you don't have to be, Carl Misch to tell people about or to talk about implants or anything like that. Um, you can share your passion with others, whether you're reaching out to people in your community, in your local community, to um, try to leverage, content in order to come across as more of an authority in your area, or if you want to do more within the industry, and try to go the we call it the KOL route, the key opinion leader route, and start working with um, products that you love or companies that you really enjoy working with, and sharing your love of whatever it is that you're doing, be it pediatrics or implants, or working with a laser, doing LANAP, or some of the new toys that are coming out, like Yomi, with the robotic implant system, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I'm doing a lot of that, and not just sharing PDA's message, which I love sharing our message and connecting with dentists who really need us, as well as dentists who need the mint door. But yeah, it's there's so much going on right now, and I've got so many irons in the fire, and I know I said it before. I'm having the time of my life right now. This is absolutely wonderful. It was a hard road to get here, and I know you and I, or the three of us actually, we spoke a little bit about burnout, and such a dreadful word, burnout, but um, I think we've all faced it in some form or another, and I certainly did for a little while, but there was light at the end of the tunnel, and I just love what I'm doing right now. So I think maybe that's like the longest way I can explain what it is that I do and how I do it.
That's awesome. It just, I kind of got goosebumps when you were talking about being editor of Dentaltown, because when I was a practicing dentist, that was my absolute favorite publication.
Oh, cool.
And so, I was one of those people that was devouring all of the magazine. And I loved how it had a variety of experts like Mish, or, the expert, but they also had just everyday people telling
Yeah,
their story. And so I love that you encourage everybody to kind of share their little corner of expertise. That's really a
absolutely.
gift.
Yeah, that was our bread and butter. We could do the usual magazine thing where I sit in my ivory tower and I get to choose, all right, I'm going to do an article on LANAP here, and then this month we'll do, I don't know, office design. No, what the great thing about Dentaltown was I had a community of hundreds of thousands of members with millions of posts, and we had the active topics on the website going on. I could look and see who was talking about what at any given moment, and the threads that, somebody asked a single question and it took off, and within days had hundreds of posts and people chiming in. Those were the topics that I wanted to explore more on the editorial side. So that was our version of interactive publishing. And yeah, we did post. In fact, I think Dentaltown is still publishing excerpts from the message boards online. In the beginning, Dentaltown magazine was used as like a marketing device in order to get dentists and dental professionals involved online and get them, first off, get them aware of Dentaltown, because at that time the internet was just this thing that people didn't know what to do with. And they realized, when they would get this magazine, this Dentaltown magazine, and inside it had a bunch of conversations. There was just online conversations between practicing dentists and people in the profession. There was a reason why we called it Dentaltown and not Dentist Town. We wanted everybody involved. And it drove more traffic to those threads, and people would read it in the magazine. They'd go, oh, that's interesting. I've got something to say about it. They'd go online, they would post their opinion, and every once in a while, if it was a big enough thread, we would revisit it and republish those posts in the magazine. And then we started, so Dentaltown was probably middle of the pack when it came to readership numbers. Direct request readership numbers were kind of what we wanted to gauge our success by. That meant that the people that were receiving the magazine were people that requested the magazine. It wasn't just something that was being drop shipped, and you could gauge the interest in your content by how many people directly requested the magazine. And so we were about middle of the pack by just publishing the threads. And then we started, when I came along, we started publishing more original content. When you open up a magazine, you expect to read something new and not just something that just already exists online. Mm-hmm. So we started publishing articles with some key opinion leaders within the profession, and we got to work with some amazing doctors, like Gordon Christensen, and we started creeping up in that readership number until we hit number one, which was that was pretty awesome. But it told us exactly how many people were reading it and how many people wanted to read it. And we also knew that our audience skewed a little bit younger, so we could be a little bit more like Wired magazine and Fast Company, and we could be a little snarky if we wanted to. I mean, that's why we included a little joke at the end of the book. Every once in a while, if I was talking to a new client when I was in sales, and I said, yeah, I'm from Dentaltown, they would always say, oh, you're that magazine with the joke in the back of the book. And I'd go, oh yeah, that's us. And it was kind of funny to be known by that. But we started creeping up until we hit number one, and we realized that we were really reaching some a lot of people, and we were doing some good out there. But yeah, that's yeah, good, just a really good time. Dude, working with Dentaltown and that model of publishing. It was unique, and it was just a blast.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, for you saying 20 years in dentistry,
Mhm.
and as we read in your bio and you're sharing, there have been a lot of great highs for you, but you did reference, you said burnout. And we were
Yeah,
wondering if you would be happy to share with us maybe some of those burnout battles that you've had along the way.
sure. Yeah, burnout that comes along and bites just about everybody at some point. And I think um, when it does, I think it attacks people who take on too much sometimes. And the one moment that I can certainly think of vividly, that I could say that I was approaching burnout. I was the editor for Dentaltown magazine. I was the editor for Orthotown magazine. I was the editor for Hygienetown magazine. We had just brought on a new publication called Hematology and Oncology News and Issues. We had purchased from another publishing company, and I had to learn oncology and hematology in about 3 months. Thank goodness the magazine came with an editorial director, and he kind of helped guide things, but I had to be knowledgeable enough to know exactly what I was editing. I mean, I didn't know cancer. I didn't know it at all, but I did my best, and I did lean on our editorial director for that. But so I was the editor for those publications, but I was also helping Dentaltown's founder, Dr. Howard Ferran, write his new book. Um, and it was a long process. We had thought, well, maybe what we can do is we can take some of his monthly columns and repurpose some of that information into um, something, and then maybe we can take some of his interviews, and so we had written a rough draft, and it certainly wasn't good enough to pass muster. And then we wrote another draft, and it was better than the last, we can say. And there was a month, I think it was like the month of December. I can't remember what year. Maybe it was like 2011, maybe. Um, and I spent an entire month at Dr. Ferran's house. And he and I, from probably like 7 a.m. until about 5 p.m. every day for a good 3, probably 4 weeks, we went over the book as it was, just going page by page. And Howard he is such a cerebral guy. He's such a thinker, and he would read something, and then he would get really really jazzed about it, and then he would it wasn't like going off on a tangent, but he would start kind of forming his own outline as to really what he wanted to say. And it was happening with like every chapter, sometimes every page, and there was just a lot of information that I was trying to get from Howard. Uh, um, and it was very exciting, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And then at the end of the day, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, we'd wrap up, and then I would go to the office, and I would edit 4 magazines, or try to edit 4 magazines. And I had a wonderful staff at the time. We were kind of a bare bones team. I had 2 associate editors in Chelsea and Krista, and they were super women. They were just dynamite. I could count on them all the time. And if I was stuck, I knew that like I could just like call them and just say, I I can't get to this right now. Can you at least start it, or can you push it through and then I'll look at it later? And uh, they were they were good. They were just so good at what they did. And yeah, around then I really had to lean on them. And then, yeah, to be candid, there was some stuff going on at home too. Um, you know, with a lot of stress going on at work and a lot of stress going on at home. Uh, um, yeah, with my marriage, something kind of had to give, and um, yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. At that time, I think my weight had gone up considerably, and I was like, all right, I can't control anything going on at home. I can't control anything going on at work, but I can control my weight. I ended up dropping like 75 pounds, just because I'm like, I can at least focus on that, which was very helpful. I felt great. Um, but then, we came to some realizations. I ended up going through a divorce a couple of years later, and I have a very positive relationship with my ex-wife, and I think we always had. And we're a lot better now uh, as exes than I think we were together. That's probably something I think she would agree with. Um, and then there was after the book ended up moving into some other people's hands, and we ended up shuttering the oncology book. And then Hygiene Town ended up kind of morphing into a hygiene department within Dentaltown. Um, there was a need within the sales and business development department, and I kind of raised my hand. I said, I kind of want to try that. And they were like, oh man, you'd be awesome at it. And I was. Um, and so yeah, things changed at home, things changed at work. And you know, I think due to a lot of professionally, due to a lot of like consolidation, I was looking at my roster one day, and the top 10 clients, or the top 10 companies that I had all eaten themselves and had become three of my top clients. And it was like, uh-oh, that's not a good trend. And so when I left Dentaltown, it turns out that PDA was one of my clients at the time, and I got to work with our chief communications officer, Reagan Robertson, closely every year, developing advertising campaigns and editorial for Dentaltown magazine. And I had always had a really good relationship with Dr. Victoria Peterson and Dr. Bruce Baird. And, anytime that we were at like a dental show together, we always made it a point to say hi and just check in with each other and just see how things were going. And I had found out that that Victoria and Reagan would have a meeting every once in a while just to see if Ben is still happy at Dentaltown and if he would consider working with PDA. And I thought that was wonderful. I mean, who wouldn't, right? And yeah, I ended up reaching out to Reagan and I said, hey, just letting you know I'm not with Dentaltown anymore. And about 3 days later, I was with PDA. So um, it was kind of a new position that we had cobbled together, and it's turned into something extraordinary. And when I began with PDA, I was the only writer at the time, and then we brought on Pretty Manyewa. She's one of our writers. She lives in Zimbabwe, and she works from Zimbabwe, in Harare, and she's incredible. And then we recently brought on Meredith Pond. She's in Utah, and we all see each other every single day and work together, and we're putting out some incredible content, not just PDA's message, but we're also working with our clients on websites and mailers and white papers and articles and anything that has anything to do with the written word, and it's coming through PDA, we're touching. And it's just wild to make to help contribute to the difference that PDA is making. I really run out of words sometimes, just thinking about it. It's really incredible, the footprint that we're creating in the industry, the buzz that we're creating, and the awareness of Productive Dentist Academy right now is growing, and it just puts a giant smile on my face every day.
What a nice kind of full 360 story, from where it started, and then a burnout, and then getting through that, and then finding something that just makes you so happy, and everything you're doing. And it seems like you're always innovating. Is there a dream that you have of something that you haven't done that you do want to do?
I guess aside from like jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, I kind of I take it as it comes. It's not anything that I'm planning on. I'm sure every single writer will say, "Yeah, I've got the great American novel hiding in my drawer." I don't have the great American novel. I've got like a third of a decent novel in my drawer. I think it'd be fun to finish it and get it published sometime. But in the meantime, I'm 100% focused on what I'm doing for PDA, and it's quite fulfilling. I mean, I think any random person would probably look at me and think, "Man, that guy's crazy. Dentists, like, okay." But it's fascinating, the different stories that I get to tell, even just with the doctors that we work with at PDA. Back when I was editing for Dentaltown and Orthotown, I got to do the same thing. I remember sitting in the Vancouver airport after an orthodontist show. I don't remember which one, but yeah, it was in Vancouver, and there was an advertisement for a dental practice that was in the airport. I was like, a dental practice in an airport? Okay, well, my flight doesn't take off for 2 hours. Let's check this out. So I walked over and found a dental practice at one of the gates, and they were killing it. People traveling from all over the place. They would actually make their appointments at this dental practice. They would get off their flight if they were like trying to get a connection or something, go get their work done, get all numbed up, and then get back on another flight and go to wherever they were heading. Like, it was amazing. I thought it was like the coolest thing. And I still get to tell stories about unique dentists, and dentists who have turned gas stations into a dental practice, or you know, just even dentists who have unique stories, you know, why they've named their dental practice a certain name, and you come to find out that it has something to do with you know, a deceased family member, and like the community coming together and helping this dentist and his family get through something, and that's why they're named X, you know, dental practice. uh, those are those are the stories I love to tell, and I live for that. It's great. Yeah. But as far as innovation, you know, um, I'm sure other people have heard me talk about artificial intelligence a lot lately. Um, and there are so many people out there that are terrified of it, or if you read about it in the news, there's a lot of fear mongering. You know, this AI is going to eat your lunch. AI is not going to eat your lunch. AI is going to be a massive help, and it's going to it's certainly going to help us get better. Um, and you know, we look into AI. We've seen what it can do, and you know, so far it's not like blowing my skirt up or anything, but it's nice to put something in there and have it spit something back out, and you're looking at these ideas and you're like, well, all right, well, that's interesting. I could i could riff off of that, rather than staring at a blank screen. That blank screen is sometimes it is like the scariest thing. And I think for anybody who's considering writing anything, if you can start off by throwing some queries into an AI engine and it spits some ideas back at you, or even just kind of helps you formulate some ideas, um, it's so much easier than just staring at that blank screen with that cursor making fun of you and mocking you, you
Taunt
know?
you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as far as innovation goes, that's certainly where things are headed. I don't think leaning entirely on AI is the way to go, because it's mostly stuff that already exists online, and I mean that's plagiarism, and I don't truck with plagiarism, but you know, if it helps uh, kick some ideas out there, I'm all for it. So yeah.
I love that. I love that kind of use of it creatively.
Mhm.
And I know as a writer, obviously you're a creative, and you love to talk about the power of storytelling.
Mm.
Can you relate to maybe our listeners as to how they could utilize the power of storytelling more, and
Oh yeah.
what that could do for them?
Oh yeah. Um, so um, just to kind of move forward in the conversation a little. So this September, the Productive Dentist Academy is hosting its the PDA conference. It's September 12th through 14th in Frisco, Texas, and I hope anybody listening can come. Um, I'm going to be putting together an hour long breakout session on this topic, on the power of storytelling, and you know, mastering the art of content creation. And in there, I'm going to be talking a lot about you know, ways to do it and the different channels you can go through. But the question that I'm going to ask everybody in the beginning, and I'm probably spoiling this, but you know, I'm going to ask, who in here is a storyteller? And I can't imagine too many people are going to raise their hands. There's a lot of people that just don't think of themselves that way. But at the end of every single day, when you come home and your loved one says, "How was your day?" You tell them a story. You tell them exactly what happened to you that day. You probably even embellish a little bit. And you probably make it sound a lot cooler than it probably was. I know I do. And I think using storytelling, not just to talk about it, with your spouse at the end of the day, but to help um, move patients to yes. And by saying moving patients to yes, I'm talking about like treatment acceptance, case acceptance. That can be difficult. And you have a patient sitting in your chair, and you know that they're probably 90% of them is leaning no because of cost, time, pain, the amount of actual work they may need. If you can present their case to them in a story that either puts them in the hero seat where you're guiding them through every step of the way, or if you can, without breaking any HIPAA rules, if you can tell them a story about somebody who might have been in their seat, in their position, and they ended up saying yes, and what their life is like now. And then also, presenting them the scenario of what probably would have happened if they chose not to go that route. That it leaves it up to the patient in the chair, but it also kind of lights a little fire in there. Maybe they don't say yes right then and there, but maybe they say yes to a quarter of it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, it probably depends on how much it's going to cost and how much they can afford at the moment. But yeah, I think if you can tell a story to the patient and kind of light that fire in their brain, it certainly could help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've lit a fire in our brains today, for sure.
Oh,
You've been talking about just
that's wonderful.
It's just possibilities, isn't it, of what you can do and how
Oh, yeah.
to do it. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
And who doesn't love like listening to a story? I mean, it's just,
oh gosh, yeah.
You think about like if you think about the history of man, we've been telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
Forever.
Yeah, I mean,
One way,
if you
shape.
think about it, if you really think about it, what is really the reason we do anything at all? Like, why would I jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
To tell the story.
Because I'm going to tell all my buddies at the bar the story about how my chute almost didn't open.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the storytelling is it goes back to, yeah, you're like to when we were carving things on walls. And it continues to be, it's to be a storyteller is to be alive, to be a human. And that's it's cool to really be in to work in that realm and continue to do so.
Yeah, super cool. Well, it sounds like an amazing workshop that you'll be giving at the PDA conference in September. And we just want to highlight, what's the best way to find out more about PDA or get in touch with you, or if somebody's interested about the event in September?
So if you want to talk to me, if you want to talk to any of my friends at PDA, Check us out at www.productivedentist.com. If you want to shoot me a direct message, I'm at ben@productivedentist.com. Again, yeah, our conference, it's going to be awesome. We have an incredible keynote speaker with pro football running back Emmitt Smith. He's going to be giving the keynote. We also have developed a really fun, I think it's that Saturday morning, a media roundtable where all my friends in the dental media are going to be up on stage talking about the future of dentistry from their perspective. And it's going to be on the main stage. It's going to be a wonderful discussion. It's going to be hosted by Reagan Robertson. And I'm so looking forward to that. I'll also have my fun storytelling breakout, and I hope if you're listening to this and you come to our conference, I hope to see you there.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like an amazing event, and thanks for sharing your talents with our listeners and really with the world.
Thank you. I really appreciate what you do for dentists. I think more people need to hear about the Mint Door. More people need to know what you do, what you can do for them. It does require getting a little vulnerable, but I mean, that's necessary if you want to break that wall of success. So, I think what both of you are doing, Dr. Karen and Dr. Laura, I think you're just both wonderful. And keep up the good work.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll take that.
Yeah. We think you're pretty wonderful too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for being vulnerable with us today. And
certainly,
it's about, not just the highs, but some of the lows.
Mm-hmm.
We all have them.
Yeah. It's an important piece of the story, isn't it?
Certainly is. Yeah. You can't celebrate the highs without the lows. So, yeah.
Right. That's right. So awesome. Well, Benjamin, thank you. And we'll make sure and include all of those links in our show notes. So
awesome.
If anyone's interested in getting a hold of you, PDA, or looking at the conference, it will all be accessible in those show notes.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, listeners. We hope you found some encouragement and know that we adore you. And we'll be back with another episode of the Mint Door Podcast soon. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, and subscribe for more holistic performance content.